Welcome traders, we're kicking off another week with the weekly stock market forecast. Let's go ahead and jump right into this. You can see this is week number 5, only 2 days left in the month, and then we roll into February. So we will see what's going to happen here. Let's go ahead and jump into the analysis. But first, if you haven't already got your free Trader's Resource Guide, head over to Trader Tactics after the video. Click on free and you can download it right there on the spot. There's over 100 resources available for you. And I even did my top 10 favorites in there as well. All right, let's go ahead and get back to it. We can see the year-to-date performance. The NASDAQ QQQ is leading the charge, up 12% year-to-date, followed by the Russell 2000. SPY up 5.5%, and diamonds lagging behind, not even 3% positive so far year to date. All right, let's start off with the Russell for our forecasted analysis. We have futures on top, ETF on bottom. The monthly chart, nothing really new to report right there. We are seeing the downtrend starting to break and go sideways now into consolidation. That's good news for the bulls, bad news for the bears. On the weekly chart, it is still range bound between our resistance and support. So in the futures, we can see that resistance right at 2,000, also a nice psychological number. Be aware of that. So if price can rally up in there, that would be a nice strong shorting opportunity to consider. So start getting your bearish tactics ready on that one. On the IWM, same concept there, about the 200 to 210 area. We have some good resistance or supply right up in there. So if price rallies up into there, get ready for some shorting opportunities. Going to the daily chart, we can see the futures is right in resistance right now. So the question is, will it break out above or will it turn and head down lower? And that's always the question, isn't it? Now, according to the weekly chart, I see we still have a ways to go before we get into some really strong resistance. So the daily resistance, it's there, but I wouldn't say it's overwhelmingly strong. So really, it's a coin flip, 50-50. We'll find out next week, but it certainly could rally. If it does, that 2,000 area, I think that's a really solid resistance or supply area there. Definitely would be looking for shorting opportunities if it gets there. Same concept on the IWM. We can see prices in resistance. Again, just kind of so-so resistance, so-so supply. The stronger supply is up a little bit higher. Now, here's a hint. That 196 resistance area on the IWM, match that up with where it's located on the weekly chart. Do you notice there's an overlap between the daily chart resistance and the weekly larger resistance? Hint, hint. All right, there's your little educational tip for the day. If you didn't get that, let me give it to you straight. You want the daily resistance area inside of the weekly resistance area. There you go. All right, on to the NASDAQ. We have the monthly chart still in its bearish sentiments, bearish trend. However, it is in the monthly support. Anytime price goes into a monthly support, you've got to be looking for a reversal on those lower time frames. You've got to be looking for a bounce and a rally, and that's really what's been happening. So far, that support area on the monthly has been working out really well for both the futures and the ETF. On the weekly chart, we can see price has really broken its downtrend and is now going sideways. And, formed that W pattern, so we're starting to see it rally up. And again, we're challenging that resistance area on the futures right about that 12,000 to 12,500 area. And that should do okay. We see the 13 to 13.5 area, a little bit, stronger there. But you have really two resistance areas stacked on top of each other. So that entire humongous area is just filled with resistance there. If this W pattern and this rally starts to break out, I wouldn't really expect a humongous rally above 14,000. You're really asking a lot for price to get above that anytime soon. There's just so much resistance built into that area from where it's at now all the way to about just a little under 14,000. It's got to get through both of those resistance areas, and that's no easy task. Same thing on the QQQ. You can see that 300, another psychological number. Anytime you have a lot of zeros, just think psychological resistance or support. It's not a major factor. It's a minor one, but it's a factor. We can see that it's, again, in that resistance. Same concept. You have two resistance on top of each other there. A little more space between these two, though. On the daily chart, the NASDAQ is right in resistance. Will it break out or reverse? Again, that's always the question there. Being that the price in the weekly chart is in resistance, I wouldn't really expect a strong rally out of this resistance area if it does break out. But hey, who knows? I've been wrong before, so it certainly could break out to the upside. But if it does, again, I'm not expecting a whole lot, especially looking at the futures weekly chart. On the ETF, we can see a little bit different. It actually did break out just slightly. I don't consider that really strong evidence at all. I'd want to see more stronger, more real breakout than that. But hey, it's trending the right direction. It's got the right momentum to the bulls there. So certainly that momentum could continue on into next week. And if it does, great, good for the bulls. Right now, the only thing I'm really looking for is a possible short selling opportunity here. Again, being we're in the weekly resistance area. I'm just not quite sold on that yet. I do think that, the NASDAQ momentum and the strength might carry over into next week. And great, if it does and price climbs higher, then I'll be really looking to do a more aggressive short if it gets up into, we'll call it that 12,500, 13,500 range on the NASDAQ futures. I think that'd be a great spot for a reversal and a shorting opportunity. So keep your eye on that. Next up, we have the S&P on the monthly chart. Still bearish, although it is starting to lose that bearish momentum, and we can see evidence of that on the lower time frames, the weekly and the daily. So really nothing new to report on the monthly charts. On the weekly charts, we're still range bound. We can see on the futures there, we're kind of in between those two ranges, but a little bit more on the upper side there. We do have resistance at that 4,200 mark. So I think that should work out pretty well for us if price can climb that high. And same thing on the SPY, same concept, except now that price is 420 is that resistance area that we'd be looking to get short. On the daily chart, we can see price is just shy of the resistance area currently. So we'll see if it can get a little bit higher, but who knows, it may actually reverse and head down now. I do think it does have some more upside potential just to get into that weekly resistance at the 420 mark, and we're not far from that at all. So that'd be about the 4,200 area. So I think we might see a little bit of a pop coming in next week sometime, and then I'd definitely start looking aggressively for shorting opportunity on that. On the SPY, we're there right now. We're in the resistance right now, about that 400 to 410 mark, although we have a little more resistance just a little bit above. And so again, if I got to choose, which I never do when it comes to the market, it never lets me do that. But if I got to pick, I would want price to climb a little bit higher up into that 410 to call it 415 area, which would coordinate nicely with the futures. And then I'd start aggressively looking for shorting opportunities. And especially if it can get into that 420 on the weekly chart. I would love if that would happen. And that's really the play that I'm waiting for and looking for. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you on here next week. Again, head over to tradertactics.com. Get your free Trader's Resource Guide. Have a great week trading, everybody.